Have you ever bought something you didn't need just because it felt good in the moment? Maybe it was a shiny new gadget, a sale you couldn't resist, or a night out that turned into a weekend splurge. We've all been there. The dopamine rush, the instant satisfaction, and then the quiet guilt that follows. You stare at your bank account wondering, why did I do that? Controlling the urge to spend isn't just about money, it's about mastering yourself. Because at its core, reckless spending is rarely about the item, it's about emotion. It's about distraction, validation, escape, or even loneliness. And if we don't learn to control that urge, we end up stuck in a cycle. Earn, spend, regret. Repeat. But what if I told you there's a way out? That with awareness, discipline, and the right mindset, you can turn your money into a tool for freedom instead of a chain of impulse. This is the story of how I learned that lesson the hard way. At 23, I landed my first real job. The paycheck was more than anything I'd earned before. I felt invincible. Every weekend was an opportunity. New clothes, expensive dinners, tech upgrades, even though the ones I had were still perfectly fine. I told myself I deserved it. After all, I worked hard. Everyone around me was doing the same. So why not? But 6 months in, I had nothing to show for it. My savings account was empty. My credit card balance kept rising. And that sense of excitement, it faded. What replaced it was anxiety. Every unexpected bill felt like a crisis. I was making good money, but I was broke, and I couldn't figure out why. It hit me one night when I checked my bank app after buying concert tickets I didn't really care about. The total balance shocked me. I had $42 left. I stared at the screen for minutes, and in that silence, a voice in my head whispered, "You're not broke. You're just spending wrong." That was the wake-up call. I started reading. Books, articles, videos. I wasn't looking for get-rich-quick hacks. I wanted to understand the psychology. Why do we buy things we don't need? Why do we chase temporary highs that leave permanent holes in our finances? One of the most powerful lessons I learned came from an old saying. We buy things we don't need, with money we don't have, to impress people we don't even like. Harsh, but true. Most of us are conditioned to believe that spending equals living. That status equals happiness, and that possessions equal success. But real power, real freedom comes from self-control. So I decided to start small. I gave myself one rule: wait 48 hours before buying anything non-essential. No exceptions. That phone case I saw on Instagram? Wait. That new pair of shoes that might go with one outfit? Wait. The smartwatch that was on sale? Wait. At first it was hard. I kept opening tabs, filling carts, then closing them again. But something unexpected happened. After 2 days, I usually didn't want the item anymore. The desire passed. The urgency vanished. What felt like a need on Monday became a meh by Wednesday. That's when I realized most of our spending isn't about need, it's about impulse. And impulse fades when you pause. I also started tracking every dollar, not in a complicated spreadsheet, just a note on my phone. Every time I spent money, I wrote it down. And wow, seeing it laid out like that was eye-opening. $7 here, $12 there, $5, $9, $18. Small numbers that added up to hundreds each month. On things I didn't even remember. But when you see where your money goes, you gain control. You can't fix what you don't track. The next step was creating a friction zone. I deleted shopping apps, unsubscribed from promo emails. I stopped following influencers who made me feel like I constantly needed more to be enough. And I replaced them with content that inspired me to grow, not spend. Then I took it further. I asked myself a simple but powerful question every time I wanted to buy something. Is this adding to my long-term joy or stealing from my future peace? That question changed everything. Because real peace isn't having more stuff. It's waking up without debt. It's knowing that if life throws you a curveball, car repair, medical bill, job loss, you're ready. That kind of peace? You can't buy it on Amazon. You build it with every wise choice you make today. It wasn't just about saving money. It was about taking back control of my life. And here's the beautiful part. Saying no to little things made space to say yes to big things. After a few months of being intentional, I saved enough to take a trip I'd been dreaming of for years without using credit. That feeling of paying for it in full, guilt-free, was worth every latte I skipped, every sale I passed up, every moment of delayed gratification. I also started an emergency fund, just $10 at a time. It felt small, almost silly at first, But over time, those tiny deposits became a cushion, a buffer, a safety net. And knowing it was there gave me confidence in every area of my life. Controlling the urge to spend taught me something deeper, that discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's choosing your future over fleeting pleasure. It's saying, I don't need this to feel enough. I already am. And once you taste that kind of self-respect, you won't trade it for a new jacket ever again. If you're struggling with impulse spending right now, don't beat yourself up. You're not weak. You're human. We all fall into the trap at times. The key is not perfection, it's awareness. Here are a few steps you can start today. First, set a waiting period, 24 or 48 hours. Train your brain to pause. Second, track everything, even the small stuff, especially the small stuff. Third, make spending harder. Add friction. Delete apps. Use cash. Anything that slows you down. Fourth, redefine your why. Don't save just to save. Save for freedom, for choices, for peace of mind. Fifth, celebrate progress. Not just in dollars, but in moments. Like the first time you walk away from a temptation and feel proud, not deprived. Because here's the truth. Every time you say no to an unnecessary purchase, you're saying yes to a better version of yourself. And eventually, that version of you becomes your default. You start thinking before buying. You start valuing memories over materials. You stop comparing, competing, or needing things to feel complete. You become someone who controls money instead of being controlled by it. And that's powerful. So the next time you feel the itch to spend, take a breath. Ask yourself, am I feeding a need or running from a feeling? Pause, reflect, choose with intention, because your financial future isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in tiny moments, small decisions, quiet victories, one no at a time. And the skill of controlling the urge to spend, that's not just a financial skill, that's a life skill. One that unlocks confidence, clarity, and the kind of peace that no shopping cart can ever deliver. You're not broke. You're just one habit away from breakthrough. So start today.